Brawl Stars ladder is certainly one of the most active for sure. The majority of our competitors are racking up, 30 matches plus. So that being said, I did say that I had some major news because our current leader sitting at the top of the table is 20-0. We have an undefeated leader currently as we sit. And it is unfortunately the Tea Drinkers. Let's go the Brits, who are now Tribe Gaming. Being undefeated, I mean, that's just absolutely bonkers. We've got Na'Vi as well, taking a big point reduction after losing to Galaxy Jupiter, and they lost 36 points in that one match, Lethal.
Makes a nice change, but UK Esports is at the top of the leaderboard. We don't know how long for, but we'll find out over the next week. But yeah, Tea Drinkers, on a serious note, they are one of the best teams in the EU and MENA region by not a mile, but like there is a bit of a stepping stone between that and the rest of the pack. So seeing Tea Drinkers at the top, I'm not surprised. I spoke greatly about Na'Vi overall. They have been making massive improvements over the last few weeks, as I mentioned last week, but their recent form's been a little bit inconsistent. Reply Totem looked really solid, especially over the last week, not just in this competition but in other competition as well, and it's nice to see Totem in that top 5. Noblie Elite also been doing pretty good. So the recent form, a nice level of consistency, and a few of those teams, it's nice to see them in that top 6. And Code Magic and Galaxy Jupiter, I've not really heard about them too much, but it's nice to see some new names come into the top 8.
Galaxy Jupiter were doing extremely well last week, and we reviewed some of their matches and we cast over them, but currently they're 5-5 in their last 10 matches. So they've actually suffered quite a few losses, and that's why they've slipped down the table a little bit. And another team that is honestly definitely worth mentioning is FA Trio, who are currently sitting in second. They're on an 18-win streak, which is just unbelievable. But looking into the 9th, 16th, right at the bottom there of your table, you've got FA Maple, right? They just need to get some reps in. They're currently 2-1, literally 2-1, Lethal.
Well, it's better than 1 and 2. I don't know how to at least describe that in anyway. A few of the teams I feel like should be in the top 9, top 8 is Blood Diamond Russia, Zero Zone, and Bunker ROG Esports. Those 3 are some big names like Tier 2 pushing Tier 1, and I kind of feel like if they play a few more matches, they can easily slide into that top 8 if need be. So expect some big things from them coming into the next week.
Yeah, we were looking at Up Purple as well last week, who played a few matches, and they just lacked the aggression. I think they were going up against Blood Diamond Russia. They lacked quite a bit of aggression in some of their attack strategies, so maybe they're going to rethink that and come back into the table and come back swinging to try and take out some of those top teams to get into that top 8 position before the play-ins, because that's what we're working towards, aren't we? We've only got like a week or so, and then we're back into that, but we're going to kick things off today. We've got Tribe Gaming going up against Noblie Elite. That's Tea Drinkers versus Noblie Elite. We've got Piper, Tick, and Nanny on both sides of the table. So who can play them better, Lethal?
Yeah, that's going to be the big talking point here. Very standard composition. I would expect something a little bit more aggressive from the side of Tea Drinkers, considering their style of play of being able to, not hesitate and take every kind of advantage by the horns as soon as they see an opening or some kind of window of opportunity. But I don't know, we'll have to see in the next few games coming up. Spen's doing a good job, just doing a lot of damage into that left lane. Tom is going to be backing him up here. Good kill there on Dizon. And KC is still in that right lane. Knows that Andre is looking to make a push with that Piper, but still though, a nice dish of damage here and there. KC just trying to stay out of range. Tom is just biding his time. And you've got to remember that Tea Drinkers are up by 1 star, so they can hold this passive setup as much as they like. Not anymore though. Speaking of the devils, Andre does actually take him down. That's going to be 2 kills in favor of Noblie Elite. And Noblie Elite now are just waiting for Tea Drinkers to make that initial push.
I mean, as you'll see as we progress with this matchup, even as we push into, the Brawl Ball, the Gem Grab and things like that, Andre is just so accurate, such a good player. And so he's perfectly lined up to play someone like Piper. But yeah, this Brawler composition doesn't really allow for super aggressive play because they don't really get up and close and personal in your face, but they don't really have a choice as we progress into the back end of this attack because they are 7-2 down right now, and they've got the tiebreaker star as well. So Tea Drinkers are going to have to do something. They're going to have to pull something out of the bag. There we go. There's a drop. 10-6 right now, though, as well. They're still dropping players as well as claiming some of the kills for themselves. 10-6, they have to get aggressive. There's only 15 seconds left on the clock as KC is trying to push up this right side, but he's all by himself. Everyone's still further back. 12-6 now, and it's just looking like it's a GG for Noblie Elite and this one, Lethal.
Yeah, you saw that Casey had a lot of missed shots on that right lane. Spen is going to push on up, does get a kill of his own, but it's just not going to help in the slightest. Don't be surprised if Tea Drinkers do change their composition to some more aggro approach. You saw there they were not really that comfortable, and Casey did miss a lot of shots in terms of the range and the projectile as well. He was struggling a little bit in that right lane, so maybe we could see a Gene or maybe, you know, a Mortis, something a little bit more aggro in order to then fill that hole and be able to play to their style, because you can see they were feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, in terms of coordination, they were a little bit separated from time to time, so there wasn't really too much support on each other. But yeah, don't be surprised to see an aggressive comp coming in.
Yeah, Noblie Elite managing to take that first one. So let's see what happened in that second round of the bounty. And would you know it? Lethal, do you know something that we don't? Because we are looking at a Carl, a Mortis as well, and a Poco. So definitely a different composition, slightly more aggro, you could say, as Casey absolutely goes flying face first with Mortis and manages to get the drop at making it 12-8.
Yeah, seeing that Carl as well, and seeing it on both sides, I'm not too surprised. Carl, in like the last week since the patch, has increased projectile speed, so Carl has actually been one of the most popular brawlers for a lot of compositions, so both teams making that change is perfectly understandable. The Mortis is going to be huge though. Casey switching from that Piper to the Mortis is going to do a huge amount of damage. He obviously got a little bit fed up earlier on playing, having that defensive approach with that Piper, so Casey looking much better with the Mortis. And look at it, the result, it's night and day, already 21-14 to T-Drink.
I mean, definitely a high point game. Absolutely loving this. But KC as Mortis definitely does so much damage up close and personal, and just still manages to come out on top with that 5,320 hit points that he's got. It's just so OP to just manage to run in, smash them, and grab and run. He's managing to get in and get out and get the drops when he can. So he's definitely helping them out with that 26-14 right now. This is a huge match, and they're both going so aggressive. I think the only thing that might be letting them down slightly is Melny on that left side of the screen. You know, playing Tick, that's a really difficult brawlers to go up against as Tick, because they're all trying to get in your face. Closing out that match, there you go, Tribe Gaming with a 30 stars in bounty, which is just huge, Lethal.
Yeah, just heavily relying on their game sense and their individual ability. The Mortis, night and day difference. The value you got from that in terms of damage count was massive. Barely did anything with the Piper, but just, you know, completely changed the game entirely with the Mortis. And the car was also a good addition to avoid a lot of the Tick's explosions and a lot of his attacks. So we're going to go for a bit of Brawl Ball to see what changes is going to be made. We're seeing a couple of Carls. Again, like I said, Carl has been really good for a lot of compositions ever since the projectile speed change in that last week's patch. But so far, no spend trying to keep back some of the players on the side of Noblie Elite, as Andre looking to push that left lane, and Dizon also doing the same, trying to support him just a little bit, just pushing the ball onto the Tea Drinker's side just to make sure they keep him at bay, but also struggling to fire.
Yeah, still a little bit of a stalemate here, because Tribe are getting in an advantageous position, but then they're not utilizing it until now. Here we go, try to make the push, but there you go, it goes down. And then, oh, such an amazing play with Surge, trying to get the teleport through to manage to slot it. But Andre, again, with the absolutely OP defenses from Sprout, manages to prevent the goal from going in. What an incredible play from Noblie Elite there. So we're still sitting at 0-0. Melny with the ball on the right, trying to push it out. And Casey as Surge. Once again, you can play a bit aggro with Surge. I think that's why he likes to play as him, because you can just force your way through, use that teleport to your advantage, manages to pass it through, and Tom is sitting at the goal line and manages to secure that first one for Tribe.
See, I've never been a fan of the Sprout on Brawl Ball, no matter which map it is. Yeah, sure, the damage is okay from range, but if you're playing against a very aggressive composition or aggressive team overall, it's going to really struggle, and at close range, it's going to struggle once more. So it's going to be a bit of a pain in the backside in a lot of areas of his gameplay. But, you know, we've seen some good things, but some bad things as well. Not the bad things because of his play and his style. It's just Sprout as a brawler overall. So we can see Melny actually gets taken down. Andre with that Sprout is looking to pass the ball back to Dizon. Has kicked it away, but could be just delaying the inevitable once more as Spen looking to push on up with that ball in that middle lane, with Tom push on the right side with that Carl. And you can see one member is already down and they're trying to back away. And that's what I mean by the Sprout. Not really too much he can do. They could actually dribble it in here at this point, but they need to be careful with the respawn from Dizon, as now KC looking to back away ever so slightly, but rejoin the fray with Spen. And that was going to be a good pull. We'll take out Dizon. The ball still on that right side is Tom. Somehow stay alive, but inflicts a huge amount of damage in the process. KC is going to stay alive, but by then the damage has already been done. We'll win that game 1-0. Good stuff there from T-Drinkers.
I mean, it just seems like Tribe are just so much more comfortable being aggressive, and like the aggressive style of play is going to really help you out with Brawl Ball because you're constantly in your opponent's face. You're not allowing them to get past you with the ball, and they're so confident in their ability to get the drops and using the supers at the right time and having their accuracy with their shots as well, that they can just consistently stay up in their face, and Noblie Elite just couldn't really do anything. So we're going into that second round of Brawl Ball right here with the Carl, Barley, and Bees. They've changed up their composition again. We've got Tara Jean and Colonel Ruffs making an appearance, and we haven't seen him. I don't think really, we haven't cast over him at all with the ESL Mobile Open just yet, so we'll see what we can make do from Dizon as well on that left-hand side. Going up against Barley, though, he's definitely got that distance on him, and they managed to drop each other as we go onto that left-hand side. So now it's 2v2 for the time being as they push up. Tribe again being aggressive, and B using that great honey trap ability at the back to basically slow everything down just in case Noblie Elite break through that line and get towards their goal.
I'm sure you've noticed it as well as I have. Banks, Sprout has done a little bit of a disappearing act, so they've obviously realised that a bit more aggression was required in order to fight back some of Tea Drinker's pushes here, pushing out with the ball. Tom does take down Dizon in the end, and a little bit of trouble with his Rust, but should be okay now. Melanie looking to pull back in that right lane. But the Barley is a good pick, you know, again, another defensive brawler which can inflict a lot of damage here and there and keep their opponents at bay. And he's actually been doing pretty good so far. Tom just trying to stay alive, make sure that he doesn't get completely washed up here, but Andre will finish him up with that pull. Good pull from Andre. Looking a lot better here. Spen has taken a bit of damage for himself, pulling back from that right lane. Casey still waiting for Dizon to push up with that ball. Will he get the opportunity here? That's going to be the next question. Doing a good job with that. Carl, Casey going to back off all the way, but good coordination here from Noblie Elite. But now they're separating just a tad, as now they have to wait and see what they can do. It is still tied up. It's going to be 20 seconds. May go into an overtime here, Banks.
Yeah, I've got to say, Spen is doing such a great job in defense there, just dropping down B's honey trap and then also just securing so many shots. He's getting loads of kills as well, dropping loads of the enemy at the moment, and just doing a really good job of keeping Tribe in the game. And maybe they're waiting for that overtime so that when all the obstacles get dropped, maybe they've got a plan to make that push. So now they're on the back foot though right now. Noblie Elite progress into their half, especially being forced through by Colonel Ruffs at the time. I love that name, Colonel Ruffs, absolutely amazing. And Andre pushing through as well as Jean. It's just about getting that security and managing to get through. And then they get the drops, and that is GG for that Brawl Ball. A very even match between Noblie Elite and Tea Drinkers, and leveling it out every single time and managing to secure those goals at the very end there. And that was a great push right at the end for Noblie Elite. So our next match we're going into is, of course, the Gem Grab. We've got Tribe coming in with Carl, Piper, and Rosa as well, while Noblie Elite are coming in with Carl, 8-Bit, and Rico Lethal.
Yeah, I just want to say, Noblie Elite in that last game, a great time in attack, and it was very, very clean. They just knew it was just a matter of time until they can make that initial push. So good stuff on them. Let's see how they can come back into this, though, as Tea Drinkers do have an early lead in terms of gem count. Casey takes on Andre. Melanie takes down Casey. So at least a trade comes in, but we have to deal with Tom. Tom just being a real nuisance on their side of the map. And the good thing is, though, Noblie Elite didn't pull back all their players. They just relied on Andre just to push him away. Tom pulled back eventually, has taken a huge amount of damage, but still on the right lane with that Carl. As Casey's taken down Andre, Dizon's going to both be supering back into that right lane. Didn't really inflict too much here because due to the fact that both of them were on similar damage counts. Anyway, in terms of hit points, Casey does take down another, but looking pretty damn good here for Tea Drinkers, Banks.
Once again, Tribe, I mean, in particular, KC, just using the more aggro brawlers, isn't he? He's right up in their face with Rosa, managing to get all these drops as well. Takes out Andre there. Gonna come back and try and help out to take out Melanie as well. Just doing a great job at being that aggro player that managed to get up in their face and make sure that they can't gain access to the gems. They've obviously pulled back a bit. Tribe are like, okay, we've got 10, we can pull back and we can stay alive. Watch Spen in his defense. Looks, manages to use the super from Piper to stay alive, and he's still up with Rosa coming back and securing that drop to help defend and keep that Piper alive. Absolutely incredible plays there from Spen and Casey from Tribe Gaming, and that is why they're sitting at the top of the table, and that's why they are 20-0. Absolutely incredible from all of them. I mean, Lethal, you've got to think, what incredible play at the end there by Spen.
It certainly was. That was a convincing victory compared to what we saw in the previous bounties and brawl balls as well. I love the Rosa pick as well. You know what it's like when Rosa uses her super, especially in a 1v1. It's like hitting a brick wall. You can't really do too much with it. You may, do a tickle of damage, but not a huge amount to be a detriment in any way, shape or form. So good stuff from them. Good picks as well. I'm glad for the counter pick from Tea Drinkers in that second game. It was absolutely vital. It wasn't to their style, just sitting back in stalemate situations. It's definitely not their cup of tea, but at least they were able to come out with a W.
I can't wait to see what next week's leaderboard is going to be like for Brawl Stars as well. And you can keep following as we progress through the ESL Mobile Open. Just put !social in the chat. Give us a follow and you'll be able to stay up to date with everything as we progress as well. So you can find out information before we actually get to the weekly recap show. And the Clash of Clans rankings have been stirred once again as some highly respected clans have been slipping down the table. So find out who that is after the break. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching the ESL Mobile Open weekly recap for Europe, Middle East and North Africa. We really appreciate all of your support. So if you could just smash that subscribe button down below, it'll keep you up to date with everything going on week in, week out on the ESL Mobile Open.